changes. And we also can't continue to reward guys who aren't playing well by continuing to play them. I do believe that. I don't try to make if I didn't really believe that, I wouldn't have said that.
Oh my. On this episode of Locked On West Virginia, changes are coming to Morgantown, but not the changes most fans want. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This is another episode of Locked On West Virginia. I would love to thank you for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen every day. And this is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, if you weren't aware, and we cover your team every day. I got to say, man, it's not like I expected anything different. Neal Brown had his press conference. Well, at least it's been released within the last hour. Jordan Leslie as well, and several players. I've heard some good and a lot of bad. A lot of ring around the rosy, a lot of beat around the bush. Changes are going to be made. That's clear. But not the changes we wanted, or at least a lot of fans wanted. And they're mostly personnel based, which is unfortunate. I didn't expect Jordan Leslie to get fired today. I knew for sure Neal Brown wasn't going to get fired today. West Virginia's never made in their history a coaching change in the middle of the season. So, yes, some personnel changes are going to be made. But am I happy with that? I got to say, like I said, West Virginia's never made a coaching change in the middle of the year. So I wasn't expecting it to happen. If you're looking for a coaching change, I just want to anybody out there that's looking for that to happen, there's a bye week after the Kansas game. Am I right? So let's have a look at it here. If you look at the West Virginia schedule, obviously Kansas is next. That's September 21st, and then you've got until October 5th. And so, I don't want us to lose on Saturday, guys. We'll be a 2-2 if we win the football game. I'm not counting this team out all the way yet. It's close, obviously. But at the end of the day, the rest of the season's still in front of this team, and anything can happen. So I will always hold on to some hope that they can do it. And you're just not a real fan, in my opinion, if you don't at least have some hope. That's just me, though. That's how I live. It's how I choose to live. So this Kansas game is obviously the biggest game in Neal Brown's tenure, which is wild because we've got two wounded dogs coming in. So if they lose this game, though, my point is there's an off week before the Oklahoma State game here, and you could possibly see a defensive coordinator change or the like during that time frame. But I wouldn't get my hopes up. I really wouldn't. This has been a program that's been slow to change, guys. I mean, when you look at Bob Huggins, you look at any other number of things that have happened as far as changes go, and it just doesn't happen a lot. It's not something that a lot of people like to blame it on the good old boy network. I'm not sure if that's 100% what it is or not. I know there's a lot of donors that have some say. I know Rip Baker doesn't like to make rush decisions. And so it's a very nuanced situation. So just getting into the change that I think most people wanted, we all kind of knew that wasn't going to happen, and it's not. So I'm sure that they are making some other changes, which they talked about, specifically on the back end of the defense. TJ Crandall, who I was high on coming out of Colorado State, I said he looked good on tape, and he did. He's young as a sophomore. He's going to get some playing time, and they think Jacoby Spells could be healthy now. Perhaps we have some corners that can play the ball in the air. It's the weirdest thing. The only place we really get beat is deep. We don't really get beat over the middle a lot. It's literally outside the hashes, so it's at corner. So unfortunately for us, we've got to play a mixture of guys to get this thing done. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't promise that it's going to be better. Kansas is playing in a new offense, but they say it's the same offense. It's just a different coordinator. You look at Daniels, and he got injured in the Texas game last year, so he had an entire year off, and his first 2 games were not good. 3 games, I'm sorry, were not good. So we'll see what he looks like coming to West Virginia. It seems like most teams or players, for whatever reason, get their get-right game against us. But here's the way I'm looking at this. This kid's a senior. He's got to be a senior now, Daniels, right? He's been there forever. We just let 2 redshirt freshmen go off against us in back-to-back weeks in Burkett and I should probably never remember his name, but I will forever because he torched us for 300 yards. And then obviously Holstein the next week, who really did a lot of damage with his legs too. So they have talked about some personnel changes. But, man, the media didn't ask any questions about wide receiver. Like, can we get some more balls for our boys, Jaden Bray, and definitely Justin Robinson? He's a 6'4", 220-pound wide receiver that I don't know how much of the offense he knows, but I know he can go deep. I just seen it happen. He's a big physical Megatron-type receiver. I'm not saying he's that good. He's got that body type. And so, please, Neal Brown, please play these guys, Like you play walk-ons, you're going to get walk-on results. That's just the way I'm looking at it now. Honey Tutty and Preston Fox have not got it done, and they're not getting separation. They need complementary players around them. They can't be the guys, in my opinion. It's I've already seen enough. So I'm out on some players, and as information comes in, I make my judgments. I try not to make too many prejudgments. Before the year, I thought we were going to be a better team than we have been, no doubt about it. As the information has come in, obviously I've changed my stance on that. So I've seen some people give me some criticism for that. At the end of the day, we all have to make judgments as information flows in. I'm just the one that happens to be on your TV screen or on your phone doing it. So it's not an easy job because a lot of people have things to say. I don't really care. I'm just letting you guys know that these very stances, like if Hollis goes out and has 3 picks against Kansas or something, I'm going to feel better about Hollis this next week, right? People act like that's crazy things like, oh, you were all out on Hollis and now you're back in on him. Yeah, I got some new information. It's crazy. It's just like this team. Everybody's out on this team. If we win 4 games in a row, you best believe I'll be back on. That's just how it works. Like I'm not going to stop watching. I'm not going to stop supporting. I don't think you should either. And listen, that third topic down there, I really want you to stick around for. Fans boycotting Country Roads Trust. I've got words for that. Neal Brown's press conference, we're going to look at some clips of that. And Leslie's, and we're just going to do a couple of little clips. But man, overall, guys, I am just fired up about all this. I want us to get back on the winning track. I mean, I do. Some people want us to, you won't believe this, there are people in this very fan base that want us to lose, guys. They want us to lose just so Neal Brown will be fired. I just can't live that way, Like, I don't care who it was. Name somebody. Dana Holgerson had to come back. Somebody I really don't like anymore, Or if Pat Narduzzi was our coach, God forbid it ever happened. I would root for the team, obviously, and figure out a way to like the guy. I would have to, So point being is my fandom is my love for the West Virginia Mountaineers and the state of West Virginia is unconditional. But in my support, it's unconditional. It's just going to happen. But my opinions and what I think should happen can change, and they can change weekly because I'm a fan. I'm not a journalist. If you want a journalist, maybe go see John Kurtz. Or if you want a journalist, go check out the guys over to your sports. There's a ton of different places you can go if you want a more balanced approach to it because I'm all in on the Mountaineers guys, and I try to make unbiased opinions and have unbiased takes, but it's not always easy when you're so in love with something. I know a lot of you guys can relate to that. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, we're going to check out those Neal Brown press conferences, and don't miss the third segment where we talk about fans boycotting the Country Roads Trust. Just blows me away. Next on Locked On West Virginia. 5-Hour Energy fixes tired fast. That's right. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is sponsored by 5-Hour Energy. Whether you have a long list of to-do work for your DIY projects back at home, take a 5-Hour Energy shot. You can check everything off your list. If you're like me, you might always have a long list of projects for the home, but when you get the supplies for the project, don't forget the most essential supply. That's a 5-Hour Energy shot. With zero sugar, a convenient portable size, it is the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. The 5-Hour Energy website has flavors galore: watermelon, tropical burst, grape, berry, and more. There is a flavor for everyone. You should try them all. On the site, you even have the option to build your own 12 or 24 pack. You choose the flavors, and it's delivered right to your door. If you go to 5hourenergy.com, that's the number 5, the word hour, the word energy.com, and get some 5-Hour Energy products today. And you can use my promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. The offer is only valid through September 30th, so it's coming up soon. And that's only one order. It cannot be used with other promotions. Remember that. This code is not good on subscription orders, so try to go to 5hourenergy.com today. I'd love to thank BlueGoldNews.com for this clip here. So go to their website, check them out, guys. They have a really, really good stuff over there. But I just want to thank them ahead of time for these clips, so be sure to check them out, guys. All right, we're going to be reacting to some Neal Brown stuff here, so buckle up.
We did perform better. We did perform better in fall camp, but we haven't shown that in the game. You know, we're 0 for 3 in those opportunities from a pass coverage standpoint.
Just that right there, just to lead off the little clips that I have chosen, is wild, right? I just have you ever thought that you perform better in camp because the receivers that you were playing against are kind of average at best? I mean, look at Hudson Clement and Preston Fox so far this year and what they've been able to show. They don't get off press man coverage and get open very often. So the corners at West Virginia probably had a bit of an easier time, wouldn't you think? I mean, that's just logical to me. That's like using logic. So I don't understand. Like, I guess maybe if you live in their world, you can't just say, okay, my players are bad. You're always trying to figure out how to make it work with what you got. Put Justin Robinson up against them this week. I just have a feeling that kid right there deserves more playing time. Just watching him, he just looks different. And then obviously Bray as well, both over 6'2". I really think we should consider those guys. And then you put a Hudson and a Preston on the slot, or definitely a Gallagher who looked great in the slot. I don't know, man. I think we're going to, it's going to be one of those years where we're going to look back and think, why didn't we play this guy more? Why didn't we play that guy more? And I know it's easy to look at this spot and say, but let's continue on.
What are Crandall and Spells going to bring that you think?
Well, here's the thing: it's just they get opportunity. You know, Jacoby's got experience. He had a significant injury in the spring, and he's been slow to come back from it. But he's on track. It's not that I shouldn't use the word slow. He's on track, but it was a significant injury. He's got experience. He's made some plays in games, and then Crandall can really run. He's got game experience at Colorado State. Played against Albany. Played a series against Pitt as well. But I think it's about opportunity. You know, we haven't played as well as we need to at that position. So, you know, I think that you got to continue to give guys opportunities to go out in games.
So, I mean, look, I'm all for it. You know, I'm all for giving these guys opportunities, especially Spells and Crandall. I like Crandall's tape. If you guys go back and check my videos when he transferred here, which would, I guess, have been over sometime in the last 6 months, 7 months. I was high on him when he came out. I'm overly optimistic anyway, but I was high on Crandall. I loved he is athletic on field, but I don't know how he fits, and I don't know how he's going to. I mean, throw him. I don't think he's going to be in a starting lineup, but maybe. Spells is a guy who hasn't played well. He's played bad more than he's played good. So I mean, he had the pedigree coming out. I would like to see what he looks like this year before I make a judgment. But coming off a significant injury, gosh, you can't be real confident, right? So I have hope, and you never know. Like maybe it's just you're one or two players off of the right mixture. But goodness gracious, guys, it doesn't seem at this point the odds are you have to lead towards this really just not a fixable problem. That's what I think. But I want to be wrong so bad. I want to be wrong.
What do you arrive at that? Is it problem personnel? Is it problem scheme? Is it do you have to go back? I know a year ago you went back and simplified. Where are you going to go with that as far as fixing?
I think it's a little bit of all above. I think that let's start because this way, anytime I'm evaluating something, I always start from the coaching perspective first. So
let's just take it from there really quick. I don't even need to hear much more. Please take it from the coaching perspective. Please take it from the coaching perspective. I would love to hear it, I would love to hear it because it's just wild, man. Like, of course it's coaching. It's very frustrating to hear,
We have to evaluate that, and there's schematics that we've got to do better. And we got to give certain people better opportunities to be successful. So as I go through it all yesterday, and it's not just watching the Pitt game, but going back and watching us all together, just like Kansas has been doing since Saturday, there's some schematic things that we got to do better. Now I'm not going to get in great detail right now because I don't want to give Kansas that advantage, but we're not going to continue to do the same things. And so that's the first piece. Then it goes to from a personnel standpoint.
Thank God for that too, right? We're not going to continue to do the same things. I would hope not, Like, I get it. He's in a tough spot here. There's not really much he can say that I'm going to like, because obviously he can't tell us what they're going to do outright. Who's going to play, how many snaps. I get it. It's all evidence for Kansas to possibly use. But it's just so aggravating, guys. This aggravates the hell out of me.
Like, we've got some guys that just are not performing as well as they need to and really as well as they're capable of.
I don't even know what to say to that either.
It's not an effort deal. Like, they're playing with good effort. There's some technique. There's some lack of discipline. It's not like they're trying not to do what they're asked to do, right? It's not one of those type scenarios. They're just not playing well.
Get ready for this next clip. This is probably one of the worst ones, at least for me. So just get ready.
Just to trace back a second, you said put guys in better positions, right? I feel like that says a lot and goes over my head, things like that. Like, what do you see specifically there?
I think so we played some man covers in situations where it's probably not the best situation for that player.
Okay, if you've been watching this show for the last, at least 2 weeks since Pitt State, what have I said over and over again? Jordan Leslie said he was playing the tendency at Penn State at the end of the first half, and yet still they played man coverage and got beat deep, even though they should have been way backed off. Right? They were playing basically 5, 7, 8 yards off the receivers. Against a guy that's really fast and pretty good. So how this is just being noticed in week 3 is kind of beyond me. Maybe it's something they've been ongoing talking about. I'm not really sure. But to me, this is an open criticism of Jordan Leslie without him being able to say more. If you can read between the lines. And let's keep going.
If we had somebody else in, maybe so. But we've played, and we've had some checks that probably we don't need to have with certain individuals in the game. And that's probably about as deep as I'm going to get it on because y'all been around me long enough. I'm not going to sit here and I'm never going to be throwing any of our guys under the bus. I'm just
too late. Already did. in my opinion. Like I feel like that's all Jordan Leslie right there. Checks, any of the checks, any of the players that were, you're making checks when you don't have the personnel to do it. That's a big problem, guys. That's a big, big problem. Let's just hope it gets fixed, guys. I mean, what else can we hope for? No changes are being made on the staff, so we're going to continue to root for it. Or you're a fair weather fan and you're going to move on. But if for us that can't do that or don't want to do that, we've got to continue to support and hope it changes. Right? It's miserable, but it is what it is. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, a lot of fans are giving up their Country Roads Trust support, and I just don't understand why. I got a gripe. Let's talk about that next on Locked On West Virginia. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel. It is America's #1 sportsbook, after all. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5. That's really, really small amount. And get 3-week trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. All you need to do is have a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel that anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. As of right now, looking at the West Virginia-Kansas game on FanDuel, it looks like West Virginia is a 2-point underdog at home. Go to FanDuel, check it out, put a bet up, do you, and have fun with it. And so when I look over here on X, guys, people are quitting their support with the Country Roads Trust, and I just can't understand why or agree with this. Ears Nation, love you to death, man, but he says, I did cancel my Country Roads Trust monthly membership. I'm a peasant, and my measly donation won't matter, but I have no other way to express my dissatisfaction than to stop supporting until changes are made. I'm not telling you all what to do, just being transparent. Yeah, I get that, but why make it public if it's going to have the same impact if you keep it to yourself? But you made it public for a reason, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like you wanted the clout, just personally, just how I feel. So it's okay that you're owning it and everything, but don't play it off like you're not telling people what to do because you have a larger profile. You've got a profile that has 18,000 people, brother. So it's going to affect people, this hive mentality, like this, where people that's legit. Like people are seriously want to be a part of something, even if it's negative, Go Blue, Go Nation. Don't take this out on the players. WV Drew, I considered it. It's a tad too early for that. It's exactly right. It's about team and players. Absolutely. You're very instrumental in the Country Roads Donor Project. Heck, you had a Red Baker helping you out. Not quite the peasant you think you are. That's true, Daniel. I'm still keeping my donation. It might not help this season's W football, but it can help next season's. Absolutely. It's about the players, guys, Maybe the MAC would be more of a protest than the Country Roads Trust. A great point. We can go up and down the comments. This is not the only post on it. Bo Bowden says, I have a feeling the fans who are pulling out of Country Roads Trust are the same people that pull out of the stock market at the slightest hint of trouble. You got to play the long game. Knee-jerk reactions never amount to much. Can't make emotional decisions. I agree with that when it's coming to Country Roads Trust. For me, is look how much extra staff has on recruiting. Basically, a GM with assistants at Country Roads Trust. When you sign players, they're yours. But don't condemn them. Not having a qualified corners coach might be the actual problem. Brown made that decision. And that's a great point, too. We could have that conversation another day, but I just wanted to show you guys that, and there are more, but that's the gist, and just for me, guys, look, I'm begging you, don't do that. It's going to hurt. It adds up every month. It goes into an account, and whether it sits there or spent, I don't know, but not paying for it or not putting into it is only going to hurt West Virginia in the long run, no matter who the coach is, unless there's illegal stuff going on, right? Which I don't think there is. That money is going to be saved and used on the players. So it makes no sense to stop. Really, it doesn't, I don't get it. So I would definitely highly suggest not to give the country a trust because you're dissatisfied with what, I just don't get it. It makes no sense to me, guys. So don't do it. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Locked On West Virginia. Please subscribe to the channel. Please drop a comment below. Let me know how you feel about all today's topics. And share the video out for me. As always, guys, hit that share button, copy the link, and then share it out on Facebook, on X, or any other platform that you choose. I would really appreciate that, guys, so we can grow the channel a little bit bigger. Until then, though, I would love to thank you guys for watching this episode of Locked On West Virginia. This episode is over, and I'm out.